He studied in Bengali and Sanskrit test, and then picked up the microphone, flicked the switch to record flashing. Record the flashing on a small and red light, and began speaking. While the Lord was going, chanting and dancing, he spoke no more than a phrase at a time, flicking the switch, pausing, and then dictating again. Thousands of people were following him, and some of them were laughing, and some were dancing, and some singing. Some of them were falling on the ground, offering obeisances to the Lord, speaking and pausing, clicking, switch on and off. He would sit straight, sometimes gently rocking and nodding his head as he urged forward his words, or he would bend low over his books, carefully studying them through his reading glasses. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Invocation prayers. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiryate nashtra prayashu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttame shloke bhaktir bhavat neshtiki. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. So we are reading from Canto 4, chapter 28, shloka number 61. Chapter titles Puranjan becomes a woman in next life. And the shloka is Maya hi esha maya shreshta yat pumsham striyam sitam manyase no bhayam yadvai hanso pashvayor gatim. So I try to recite the shloka. Maya hi esha maya shreshta yat sham striyam satim manyase no bhayam yadvai hamso pashvayor gatim. Maya hi esha maya shreshta yat sam striyam satim manase no bhayam yadvai hamso pashavayor gatim. Maya hi esha maya shreshta yat pumsam striyam sitim manase no bhayam yadvai hamso pashavayor gatim. Would anyone like to recite the shloka? Hare Krishna. Can everyone hear me?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Dandavat pranam. May I, Prabhuji?
Yes, please go ahead, Mataji.
Maya hi esha maya shrishta yat pumam samstriyam satim manyase no bhayam yatvai hamso pashyavayor gatim. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else would like to try?
Maya hesha maya srishta yat pumamsam striyam satim manyase no bhayam yadvai hamsau pashyavayor gatim.
Thank you, Prabhuji. We'll just take one last one, then we're going to go on synonyms.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. May I?
Yes, please go ahead, Mataji.
Maya, illusory energy. He, certainly. Esha, this. Maya, by me. Shishta, created. Yat, from which. Pumamsam, a male. Striyam, a female. Satim, chaste. Manyase, you think. Na, not. Ubhayam, both. Yat, because. Vai, certainly. Hamso, freed from material contamination. Pashya, just see. Ava, you. Ava, Gatim, factual position. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. And the translation is Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sometimes you think yourself a man, sometime a chaste woman, and sometime a neutral eunuch. This is all because of body, which is created by illusionary energy. This illusionary energy is my potency, and actually both of us, you and I, are pure spiritual identities. Now just try to understand this. I'm trying to explain our factual position. The factual position of both Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities is qualitatively one. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Spirit. The Super Soul and the living entities is the individual spiritual soul. Even though both of them are original spiritual identities, the living entities forgets his identity when he comes in contact with material nature and becomes conditioned. At such a time, he identifies himself as a product of material nature. Because of the material body, he forgets that he is the eternal, Sanatan, part and parcel of Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in this way. Maya Vansho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The word Sanatana is found in several places in Bhagavad Gita. Both the Lord and the living entities are Sanatan, eternal. And there is also a place known as Sanatana, beyond this material nature. The real residence for both the living entities, for both living entity and God, is the domain of Sanatan, not this material world. The material world is temporary, external energy of the Lord, and living entities is placed in the material world because he wanted to imitate the position of Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this material world, he tries to enjoy his senses to his best capacity. All the activities of the conditioned soul within his material world are perpetually taking place in different types of bodies. But when his living entity acquires developed consciousness, he should try to rectify his situation and again become a member of spiritual world. The process by which one can return back to Godhead, is Bhakti Yoga, sometime called Sanatan Dharma. Instead of accepting a temporary occupational duty based on material body, one should take to the process of Sanatan Dharma or Bhakti Yoga, so that he can put an end to this perpetual bondage of material bodies and return home back to Godhead. As long as human society works on the basis of false material identification, all the so-called advancement of science and philosophy are simply useless. They only serve to mislead human society. Andha yat andhaire upnay yam anaha. In the material world, the blind simply leads the blind. ओम अज्ञानतिर्मन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मृतं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुक्तापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhavitan Mishcha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatara Bhishcha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So today we are reading from 42861. The shloka is once again, I try to recite, Maya hi esha Maya Shreshta Yat Pumsham Striyam Sitim Manyase No Bhayam Yad Vai Hamso Pashvayor Gatim. Translation: sometime you think yourself a man, sometime a chaste woman, and sometime a neutral eunuch. This is all because of bodily of body, which is created by illusion energy. This illusion energy is my potency, and actually both of us, you and I, are pure spiritual identity. Not just try to understand this, I'm trying to explain our factual position. So we can see we just go a little bit background so far what has happened. So we can see that um, in the previous life, Vaidharbi was King Puranjana, and who was very attached to the wife, Puranjani. And what happened was that Puranjan became woman in the next life. And this life, Puranjan became Vaidharbi, and she got married to Malyadhwaj. And now Malyadhwaj has passed away, and she is being a chaste wife, is tried to enter the fire, Sati. That's what she's trying to do. She's trying to give her body, give her her body. So that's one of the in the past that has happened in the past that when the king dies, woman goes in the fire and give her body as well. So she's trying to do the she's trying to enter the fire, but at the same time there was a brahmana who came, and it's basically said as it's Krishna who came in the form of a brahmana to explain um, this supreme science, that you are not this body. People may ask that if Krishna has to come and explain this to Vaidharbi, why didn't he came in the form of Krishna? It's because she wasn't ready at the moment. Vaidharbi was still too muchly attached with the material body. That's why Krishna didn't came in the form as Krishna himself. So he came in a form of Brahmana and tried to explain the supreme this science of self-realization. So if you try to look at the last part, he's saying, I'm trying to explain our factual position. Now, this is our main drawback. As a human being, we not try to, we as jivas we choose what we want to hear. We want to understand things what we like. That's why we are struggling here. We try to always try to understand and try to only like those part which we think is all okay. I will do this because I like this. So God is trying to explain that we behave and act in whatever body we have taken birth. So just an example here, it was the soul was male in the previous birth as Puranjana, and now the same a soul has transmigrated in the female body as Vaidharbi, and now again she's lamenting. So we also as human, we all sitting in this room has taken so many births from time immemorial that we don't know. So God is trying to explain that we whatever body we take, we try to we try the soul is covered with those five elements, and we act accordingly what body we get. So in this context, we can see that we may think sometimes we are men, sometimes women, as it's said in the shloka, and sometimes a eunuch. So this birth, maybe I'm a man, I may have two kids, but we don't know what was there in the past birth. What consciousness I will have when I leave the body, and what sort of body I will get in the next birth, which we don't know. Just like in the story of Chitraketu, Maharaj Chitraketu had a son after many, many, many years from 100 wives. And what happened? The wife killed the child, and Narad Muni brought the child back in front of Chitraketu. And what happened? Chitraketu asked his child, "You are my son." And the son asked Chitraketu, "Which life, which father you're talking about?" So that shows, that we like the person so much, but once we leave the body, we get our true consciousness. But that again depends um, what sort of consciousness we have when we leave the body. So it says there was one more similar kind of shloka which we can read in Srimad Bhagavatam as well. Would anyone like to recite the shloka and the translation, please?
क्वचित् पुमां
This is a
क्वचित्
translation.
श्री क्वचिन्नो भयम् अन्धदिः देवो मनुष्यस्तिर्यग्वा यथा कर्मा गुणं वभः.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Would you like to do the translation as well, Prabhuji?
Covered by the mode of ignorance in material nature, the living entity is sometimes a male, sometimes a female, sometimes a eunuch, sometimes a human being, sometimes a demigod, sometimes a bird, an animal, and so on. In this way, he is wandering within the material world. His acceptance of different types of bodies is brought about by his activities under the influence of the modes of nature. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So it's explained the same thing again here in chapter number the next chapter, which will be coming, number 29, that we associate ourselves with the body. So even in the same theory has been explained again in, as I said, by Narad Muni in chapter number 29. And hence the very first instruction in Bhagavad Gita, which was given to Arjuna by Krishna, was that we are not this body. You are not this body. We are a spirit soul. And if we are related to the body, then we have to take birth in this material world. That's why this material world was created. And as when we take birth, by default, we get a package. Like when you join a company, when you join a job, there is a package that comes. This is your perk, this is your salary, this is will be your you will get benefits, and all those things. So when we take birth in this material world, we generally get a package. That package includes 4 defects, which is a propensity to commit mistake, illusion, must cheat others, and have imperfect senses. Then we have 3 miseries, Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Atmik. Then we have 4 sufferings, which is birth, death, old age, disease. So these all comes when we take human form of life, and that this is not in Krishna's abode. So if we want to enjoy all this human birth, if we want to relate ourselves as a body, then we have to take a birth in the material world. And in material world, this package comes all together. So this body is created by Prakriti, nature, material nature, Bhairanga Shakti, Maya, or Maya Shakti, which is also a part of Krishna's energy. So if you see in the first line, both jivas, as per the translation, as the purport, it says both jivas and Supreme Personality are the living entities, have the same qualitative properties. So that's what it says. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Achinte Bheda Bhed, we are one as well as we are different. Achinte Bheda Bhed, which is we are oneness, we are as well as we are the different. So we are all similar to the God, like qualitatively wise. Just जिसको बोलते हैं गुणात्मक गुण जो है. So we are all qualitatively same as Supreme Lord. But we are different with God quantitatively, which is um, by matra, जिसको बोलते हैं मात्रात्मक. Okay, so we are different from God. Just like a drop of an ocean of water has the same chemical compounds, which matches the ocean, but quantity wise, it's just very minute, very, very small. Chemical composition will be same. The drop of water, you can see the whole ocean will be the same. Just like if you are cooking rice, right? In a pressure cooker, you won't be looking each and individual rice that they have been cooked or not. We'll just pick up one rice and we'll see the whole pressure cooker has been done. Similarly, a drop of water, if you put it under microscope and try to look at the chemical composition of that drop of water, that will be same as a whole ocean. So qualitatively will be same, but quantitatively will be different from God. Okay. Similarly, we have attributes of God. Now, God's we can see that in chapter number 2, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that some qualities of soul, which is jivas are indestructible, nityam, always existing, ajam, which is unborn, and avyayam, which is immutable. So if I ask anyone, God is indestructible, always existing, unborn, immutable. These are same qualities of soul as well. But he is in supreme, we are in very minute position. We have got all these attributes, but in very small fragmental parts. So that is the difference. We need to understand. Until we don't understand this part, we will be thinking ourselves as a master, not as a servant. And the second thing, most important in this particular shloka, is talks about Sanatan. Sanatan means from time immemorial, from the very beginning. Now, when God created Prakriti, which was Jivas came into existence when God created the Prakriti. And when was it done? How was it done? It's long time back. All we can do is the calculation of Lord Brahma's age, which is 100 years. That's how far we can go. That it says that the first 50 years of Brahma, Nil Madhava was present, and after that, next 50 years, Lord Jagannath is present. So we can see Lord Jagannath is there. So definitely Brahma's 50 years is gone. We've got 50 more years to go. So Jivas have taken birth, and he forgot his constitutional position of because he has taken birth so many times. He has forgot that his real position is Jivere Sarup Hoy Krishna Nityadas, Krishna Nityadas. That is his constitutional position, which the soul has forgotten. Because we have taken birth so many times, we now start thinking, instead of we are not this body, we start thinking that we are this body, and this is only way to enjoy ourselves. So we are enjoying in this material world um, with our five senses and three other senses, which is called as mind, intelligence, and false ego, of which mind is most prominent. Why I say is most prominent is because if you see, um, mind stores all the impression of the senses. So if you see that um, um, mind has like it's like a storage house. There are many things that get stored in mind. For example, my eyes may see something very beautiful. It gets stored in the mind. My eyes doesn't like to see anything that also gets stored in the mind. Taste, I may like some nice rasgulla. That taste get recorded in the mind. Someone gave some bitter food which I don't like. It's all get recorded in the mind. And similarly, my ears want to hear some nice kirtan, gets stored in the mind, and sometimes very hard music, some scratchy noise, this also gets stored in the mind. So mind is like, a powerhouse which stores all the data which has been collected by all the senses. And that's the reason why when we need to do something, mind try to ignite the senses. Like, you remember that day you did that thing was very nice. Try to do that thing again. To mind instigate the senses to come in contact with most enjoyable things via senses and try to avoid things which it doesn't like. So that's the job of mind. So we can see that mind is like a storage house, and because of this mind which is filled with so many material impressions and experiences, and these indriyas, five senses, what we are doing, as Bhagavad Gita 15.7, Prakriti Sthani Karsati, we are struggling in this material world, right? We are struggling in this material world. And apart from that, there's one more, which is a false ego, which is again that we think by false ego. Instead of thinking that we are not this body, we think we are this body. This is our real identity. That's what false ego is. So because of these three things, false ego, mind, and intelligence, and all the senses, what happened? The living entities, which has which is the identity is, it's divine, which is indestructible, which is immutable, which is unborn. Things, we will take birth again. We are not this we are this body, and we have keep on going in the cycle of birth and death, birth and death, and birth and death. We are struggling here in this material world. So we can avoid this struggle by practicing only one thing, which is known as bhakti yoga. But we need to first recognize that we are struggling. Krishna says, only by bhakti you can approach me. Bhakti mam abhi janati. Krishna never says that, dhyana mam abhi janati, jnana mam abhi janati, He only says bhakti mam abhi janati. So it's only by bhakti one can approach me. There's no other way. So first we need to understand that, first we need to understand our constitutional position, which is Jivile Sarup Hoy Krishna Nityadas. And most important is that we need to recognize that there are three things basically. First, we need to identify ourselves first. We need to understand, first of all, that we are struggling in this material world. This is material world and we are struggling here. First, we need to identify ourselves. Then we can do something about our activities. And the final is our destiny. So the more we think that Krishna is unnecessary, the more worldly unnecessary things becomes necessary for us. So and also the more we try to disconnect from Krishna, the simple things even the simple things may look very, very difficult. Just for example, as I said, first we need to identify that, we are struggling here. We have to identify ourselves that we are in this material world. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 15.1, which is Urdham Udam Ala Shakham Ashwatham Praharabhyayam Chandasmi Yasapranani. Sorry, I messed up. So the first 15.1 is Urdham Udam Ala Shakham Ashwatham Praharabhyayam. I forgot the shloka, sorry. So in 15.1, Krishna says there's a banyan tree which has got root upwards, So that's the real world which we need to go, but we are struggling here in this material world. So when we try to disconnect from Krishna, all we can see is only struggle. So first we need to recognize our constitutional position, that we are spiritual identity. We are the Son of God. He is very supreme. We are very minute, but we are part and parcel of Krishna. First, we need to identify that fact. The second is we need to channelize. Once we know that he is supreme, we need to channelize our activities. Just like, for example, there may be the person in the material world may think that he is a material body and he will act accordingly to satisfy his senses. And if we are acting in material world and acting for material advancement, our destination will be a material world again, taking birth as in the material world again, right? However, if we identify ourselves as spiritual part and parcel of Krishna, and we know our activities should be spiritual, what our activities should be like, it should be doing kirtan, remembering Krishna, Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, serving the devotees of the Lord, serving the sadhus, then what will happen? If we know what our spiritual identity is, what our spiritual activities are, what will happen? We'll get spiritual world. We'll take birth we go back to God. Krishna will take us home back to Godhead in Vaikunta, in Goloka Vrindavan. And not only that, Krishna will be so blessed, Krishna will be so pleased to take us home that he will get controlled by us. Not only that, he will give his controllership to the devotees. Just like, you can see in Damodar Leela how Yashoda Maya used to run after Krishna. Krishna gives his controllership to his devotees. Krishna is so pleased. And that is the proper use of our independence. Whether we want to be controlled by Maya or whether we want to be controlled by Srimati Radharani is our choice. This is our free will. That is our proper independence if we utilize it properly. Right? Now, our independence without a proper guidance is a big disaster. It's very dangerous. Right? So our independence has to be utilized very properly. Just like I remember Sud Krishna gave a very nice example yesterday. A father gives a pocket money to his son. And if son tried to utilize that pocket money very nicely, wisely, some portion give to donation, some portion use in studies, some portion in buying, giving some charities. Father will be very impressed, and say, right, you are doing some very nice thing. I will increase your pocket money. However, if the same father gives the pocket money to a son and he start wasting his pocket money in smoking, gambling, going to bar and whatnot, what will happen? The father will cut down his pocket money and will say, you are not worth giving, you're not worth to be given a pocket money at all. Maybe he may reduce the pocket money or even stop the pocket money. Similarly, Krishna will see our independence, how we are utilizing our independence. How we are utilizing our independence. Are we utilizing it properly or not? If we are utilizing it properly in doing the activities by serving the devotees, by going to a temple, doing kirtan, doing seva in temple, doing our devotional service properly, Krishna may give us an opportunity that, yes, he's doing so nice. Let him give more independence. Like, I should give him more opportunity to take birth in the higher, in a aristocratic family where he can advance more in Krishna consciousness and come back to Godhead. He will facilitate us in a way that we can progress further. Whereas, if Krishna sees we are misusing our independence by doing all nonsensical things, by doing nonsense things like cheating people, looting people, trying to harm other people, harm other devotees, or harm other animals. Krishna thinks he's misusing my independence. It's not worth that kind of independence. Let me take away this independence. Better you fit in an animal body, you're not fit for the human body. This is how Krishna restricts our independence as well, depending upon how we use our independence. So, as from the purport, we see that we try to imitate as Krishna, that what we choose, and that's why we are here in this material world. We need to understand this is material world. There's a world above this, which is called a spiritual world, which is 75% of the whole creation by the Lord. The material world is just 25%. The spiritual is massive. We need to go back to Godhead. This is not a place to enjoy. This is a prison house. And that independence which I was talking about comes from three sources. The independence comes from three sources, can be guided by three sources, which is Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. If we surrender to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, we will be guided properly. We will be able to use our independence properly. Without that, it's very, very difficult. And it's said in the purport way itself, it says, that it's only by doing bhakti yoga we can go back to Godhead. And this Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra are the only one who can teach us how to do bhakti yoga. There's no other way of going back to Godhead. So on this note, I will end the class here. If anyone would like to add or any suggestions, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu,
Hare
doesn't seem to
Krishna.
be any reflections, so you should end the class. Anybody got any queries, reflections to share before we close? Prabhu doesn't seem to be, so we'll close the class here. Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful class. Panchakalpadrubhesha
कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, His Grace Chitra Prabhu की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की
Jai.
और प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल.
Hare
All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare